April 16th, 1907. Early this morning, Marm shook me awake from a dark dream of jungles and machetes, soldiers marching along the beach, and my father with his eyes closed, finally at peace. She started the stove fire, put the porridge water on to boil, and I glanced at her face in the pink dawn coming through the window. She seemed younger somehow, lighter, more whole. I wondered if she too had dreamt of Papa last night. She told me of things that I never knew. Her stories filled a place in me, that hollow space where he had been. She stood by the window for long minutes without speaking, until the water boiled. I wondered what she was thinking. She served me a bowl of oatmeal and stood over me, looking down at me. "I haven't had a chance to talk with you about the court case, Prudence," she said. I picked up my spoon, feeling my skin more sensitive suddenly, and she saw that I had put the notes away. Mr. Soper's notes to me. A small rusty door opened inside of me, and I promised myself no more secrets. "I have made a terrible mistake," I said. She nodded knowingly. "Tell me," she said. Keeping my eyes on the table, I told her of the spying and the bribing in the case of Mary Mallon. I spoke of the morning with Jonathan and how Mr. Soper saved me. I confessed my love to the chief, and it all came spilling out, and I could not stop myself. I didn't want to stop. I had needed to tell for months about the things, and now finally I did. When I finished, she walked to the sink where she stood. When she finished, she walked to the sink where she stood with her back to me, without saying a word. I waited for her to speak. Frightened of what she might say, I could think of no defense for myself. In a low voice she said, "You work from 8 in the morning till 6 at night with Mr. Soper." She turned then and said, "That's a lot of time to spend with one's chief." I nodded, terrified that she would take the job away from me. She continued, "On the weekends I'd expect you'd want to go out with your friends, perhaps find a boy your age with whom you can visit the Flickers or the theater or the Nickelodeon." "I study on the weekends," I said quietly. "Prudence, each and every weekend you sit at that window and spend hours writing. You write in the evenings. You never go out unless it's with me. Why, since Anushka left, you haven't made a single friend. You spend all of your time alone reading books and writing letters or scribbling in your tablets. Where is your life?" I sensed my mouth dropping then, open. I thought of Anushka, who had not written a letter to me in weeks. I thought of the books that Dr. Baker gave me, and how I spent all of my time studying them. I thought of my tablets, 10 of which I had written so far. And I thought, she's right. Marm shook her head slowly and said, "I'm guilty of the same since your father left. We have sealed ourselves up in this tomb. I still have your father's clothes in the closet, for goodness sake. We have wanted to be with people who are dead and gone, or simply not eligible. Mr. Charles Silver has been trying to tell me this for months, and I see it in you too. Prudence, we must open our eyes and our hearts to people who are near and appropriate, flesh and blood humans who can return our affection in a proper manner." Her words flew through me like arrows, the rightness of them landing straight inside my heart. I thought of my evenings and weekends. I felt as if I'd been looking down, or in for years. As if I were always telling myself a story instead of living the story of my life. Suddenly, Marm's words lifted my head, and I saw a bright, sunny sky with swarms of beautiful birds flying high, the colorful wings shining. We have spent long years hiding ourselves, waiting for a man who will never come.